All right, I want to go to Capitol Hill again. We have Congresswoman Debbie Lesko with us standing by. Congresswoman Lesko, great to see you again. Saw your red dress there in
great to be here.
In the crowd in the State of the Union. We were able to pick you out. You were on with us earlier today on Newsmax Now. You know, it was surprising to see Democrats' lack of enthusiasm for some of these things like energy independence or our lowest unemployment rate in our nation's history. But there were also great surprises that we were just talking about. For you, what was the one moment of the speech tonight that stood out the most?
Well, when the husband and wife were reunited with their young daughter, he had come back from serving our country, and she was so surprised. And I was so close. I was sitting about the tissue, and I had a little bit of tears coming out of my eyes. It was a very moving moment. And a lot of the guests that President Trump had invited were just it was very emotional. And so that part really stuck with me. Now, the worst part of this thing was when Speaker Pelosi, at the end, when President Trump was wrapping this up, tears up his speech. I could not believe it. People around me could not believe the vitriol. I mean, this is not what the American people want. The American people want us to try to work together. And instead, she shows that she is not willing to work with us at all. She tears up a speech. I mean, how rude, how just unconscionable. We were just shocked. We were shocked. The people around me were absolutely shocked. The low list that she has dropped to.
Well, Congressman, I also wanted to get your take, though, on the initial meeting of Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi. It seemed like she extended her hand, I don't know, half-heartedly towards President Trump, but he did not reach out his hand to shake her hand, kind of setting up the theme of the night here, at least initially. Do you think the president maybe should have shook the House Speaker's hand?
Well, I missed that, so if he didn't do it, I didn't see it. I saw him handing her the speech, so I kind of missed that part, the beginning part, so I really can't comment on that. Now, obviously, I think we need to try to get along on things that we can agree with, and I tried to do that with my Democratic colleagues, even though I totally oppose them on this impeachment stuff they've been doing. And if you notice, President Trump didn't bring up the impeachment at all.
No.
He was positive. He tried to stay positive. Now, he did point out that there was over 130 of the Democrat Congress members that support and co-sponsor the Medicare for All bill, which would eliminate all of the current health insurance programs, including regular Medicare that we have now, Medicare Advantage, all employer health care plans. And so the Democrats didn't like that at all. They kind of like moaned and booed.
Yes, there are some cheers and jeers mixed in there together for sure. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, the last thing, too, I want to talk about.
They co-sponsored that.
I do want to give one Democrat some credit. She's actually from your state of Arizona. Kristen Sinema did get up many times when the rest of Democrats sat there with scowls on their faces. She seems to be one of the more reasonable folks there. And another thing we're going to talk about, too, with our panel, which might not get a lot of coverage, but incredibly important from an appearance standpoint, Venezuelan President Juan Guaido sitting there in the House chamber. Obviously, it's signed not just for Venezuela, but also for Democrats who could nominate a socialist to be their nominee, and also because Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, is going to Venezuela this week. It also sends a strong message to some of our foreign adversaries. One of the moments, Congresswoman, that I think might not get a lot of play tomorrow, but one that was critically important. Do you agree?
I do agree, and I did see some of my Democratic colleagues stand up and applaud for that. Now, I kept looking over to the Democrat side of the aisle to see if they would stand up, like, for instance, funding the military and increasing the military and protecting our country. I don't think hardly any of them stood up for that, if any, but on a few they did. So kudos to the Democrats that did brave and went against the most, their peers, and stood up and supported some of the things President Trump did. And we'll see on Kyrsten Sinema. I'm going to be very curious how she votes tomorrow on the articles of impeachment. And so we'll see.
I have her down for an acquittal. We'll see what happens. One last question for you. You know, we saw the nation's polarization on display here, but you still have to work with your Democratic colleagues. You know, if we want to see anything else to the scale of USMCA get signed, there's still talk of an infrastructure bill or something else that happened. How can you still work with your Democratic House colleagues after everything we've seen with this impeachment trial and the acrimony that was on display tonight? Give the American public a message of hope that there's still something you guys can get done together.
Well, I think there are things that we can get done together. Now, it's going to be difficult, quite frankly, when you have the Speaker of the House rip up Trump's speech at the end of his speech. I mean, that was just totally uncalled for. But I am the Republican chairman of the Bipartisan Women's Caucus, and so I work with my Democratic counterpart, and we work well together. So there are some issues that Republicans and Democrats can work on and agree on together. But I have to tell you, all this rhetoric that's going on and all this impeachment stuff, and I'm on Judiciary Committee, so our chairman, Jerry Nadler, has said some inaccurate, let's put it that way,
yes,
things,
and that's the point, right, of the speech.
In his speeches.
It's time to come together now. Impeachment is over. Let's get some things done. Debbie Lesko, thank you so much for your time. Great seeing you as always, and look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to newsmaxtv.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.